I don't understand anything of what he says. I don't know. I can't believe that this is English. What is this? Like, seriously. Hi and welcome back. So we lately discovered the weirdest and coolest accents in American English. But today we want to take it even one step further and want to see what are the hardest or most difficult English accents that we have all over the world. I'm very looking forward to this. But before we do this, please make sure, if you like this content, to hit a like and a subscribe. That would help me so much. Thank you so much for that. And if you want to see more content, you should definitely check out my Patreon. Link is in the description. And now let's go right in the video.
You may be a native English speaker, but this does not mean you
Sadly not yet, but I need to in order to get to Oxford later this year.
understand English.
What?
Told you, I found
I did not understand one single word.
11 mighty confusing English dialects to test your skills. First, try to guess the country, then guess the dialect. And if you get it right, you can brag in the comments, but you probably won't.
They're going to nationalise them, that will be the end of all the work. There'll be no good shepherds left either.
I mean, BBC, British broadcasting channel, so probably it's the United Kingdom, I would say. Accent, I don't know.
They want to get them a decent living, they got out there.
If you know what a butterloggy is, well, then you might know this dialect. It has the same roots as Scots, and they were once part of the same kingdom. So while most English accents were influenced by the Saxons, this English was shaped by the Angles. Now, I'm talking about Northumbrian English. The Angles lived mostly in present-day Denmark, and the first time the Vikings invaded England, well, it was right here. So are there some shared Scandinavian words? Well, these words here are Old Norse, so you tell me. Northumbrian has a few varieties.
I think the shop one is in the business one is what you do well. There's more park. There's less parking spots, there's more people having to park.
And even if you have no idea what he just said, you might know about a more famous version, Geordie. Geordie has its own special character.
And Corbier Creoles, this must be Northumberland like this.
Even in the 1500s, the London elite thought that this was the strangest accent. And what is a butterloggy? Well, it comes from a Viking word and it means a butterfly.
Oh, okay.
And what about if you're calling someone, they say you're telling someone, come over here.
Hey, bring your ass here, boy.
Lord,
Come here, boy. Come here, boy. Come now.
come now.
Yeah, come here, come on. Something you tell you, come.
Now, if you know this one
I
straight
don't know,
away,
I would say something like Indian maybe, because just of how they look.
then I will be impressed. I will, but I think you need a bit more.
We're gonna do a one-night camp somewhere up Madamas or Blanchishes. We're not sure yet. We're gonna check the sea state conditions, and once we get up there, we're gonna see what beaches look the best.
Take me on your rocks. Gonna see if I cast. Look at them beating up on the inside. Woo.
The indigenous Arawak people called it the land of the hummingbird, and this lovely English dialect is known for its sing-song sound. Many pirates came ashore to bank their booty over the years, including a certain Englishman who came looking for the mysterious El Dorado, a city of gold. It's been in Spanish, French, and British hands, and they say that by 1814, this island changed hands 31 times. That's right, I am talking about Trinidad, the one with the twin. The island is extremely diverse. African slaves were brought here from other colonies. Immigrant workers were French, German, Chinese, Portuguese, African American, even Venezuelan. And then huge numbers also arrived from India. The first Creole language in Trinidad was actually French, but within a few generations, they were all speaking English Creole.
But this video, I'm going to try to do it a little straight Trini. I think you want me to do it a little straight Trini or 100% Trini, like if I talk to my mother kind of Trini or my brother kind of Trini. So you have an accent. You who watching this, you have an accent. I have an accent. Everybody have an accent. What kind of stupid question is that? Yes, everyone has an accent.
Nowadays, they speak both Creole and standard Trinidadian English, and it's been the official language since 1823.
To the left, everything you own in the box. To the left, in the closet, that's my stuff. Yes, if I bought it, say, don't touch.
From just how it sounds, it has a little bit, of course, also how the persons look, but it has how she sounds more like an African style, I would say, a little bit like I don't know, I watched a few movies that were about Africa, like in English, and they're also like always a little bit of a similar accent. Yeah, so maybe African. Of course, it's not a country, but at least I maybe have the continent right.
That miss, that's fine. Put your walking talk at the same time. There is my name that is on that match, so remove your bag so I can call you again.
Now, unless you've been to this country, there is no way you're going to guess this one, but please give it a try. Listen for the...
Give it a try. I don't know, they were not that black, so I would not say something like Nigeria or something. I don't know, what could we say? I don't know, hard. I don't know.
Clue hidden.
In matric, I got an A for bloody English. Okay, I got a C, but still. When I went to America, no one bloody understood me. I'm here on Table Mountain.
Jamaica? Is it maybe Jamaica?
South Africa has many different English accents, but none are as divergent as that.
Please hit like and subscribe. It would help me so much. Thank you.
That of the Cape-coloured community, especially from an area known as the Cape Flats. Matter of fact, even South Africans have a hard time following Cape Flats English if they didn't grow up in Cape Town. And sometimes, even if they did.
What? What's the name of the movie?
Trankies.
Trankies.
No, Trankies.
Trankies.
What's the name?
Trankies.
No, I told you Trankies.
Trankies. Tell me again.
I told you, take a kiss.
Thanking you.
It's an incredibly colourful way of speaking, heavily influenced by Afrikaans, specifically Cape Flats Afrikaans. This dialect has roots in the 19th century working class residential areas in
I absolutely love accents, to be honest. It's so interesting how they developed, what the culture, what the history behind it is. Absolutely love accents. Not, I wanted to say accidents, and I was like, no, that's not the right word.
City Cape Town. One interesting feature is the double negative, as is I didn't see nothing. That's straight out of Afrikaans. As for this video, well, it's straight out of story learning, and if you like it and want to know more, please let me know.
Share around here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dad and all of, well, Dad and them was raised here around here, and we was up the road there a little ways where Dad went in when he got married. We was all...
You know, I said it in the last video, but I don't understand anything of what he says. I don't know. I can't believe that this is English. What is this? Like, seriously.
All raised up there, but this is Grandma's and Dad's old house place. We own by the water gap. It's getting about this time late in the evening, getting dark.
Wouldn't you just love to hear that whole story? I have a feeling that even if you couldn't quite get him, you'll recognise his accent. And if you fancy a sort of Scottish-Irish flavoured Elizabethan English, well, better move down to the Smoky Mountains. Appalachian English is full of wonderful vintage sayings, but the best part is certain words and phrases still have the same meanings that they did hundreds of years ago. For example, I don't care to really means, sure, I'd be happy to. And you know what? It was once the...
Okay, yeah. Makes sense. I don't care to. Yeah, because, you know, it doesn't... It's not a big thing for me. Okay, yeah.
Nobles of England and Scotland who spoke this way.
I heard a big clap of thunder and then it commenced to raining.
I've been working on this and I'm having a little bit of a trouble, and as you can see, it's still side-goggling.
The mountains of Appalachia were once a haven for mostly Scots-Irish immigrants who wanted to escape colonial rule in America. And down here, they were pretty isolated from mainstream American life for many generations. So they kept those old speech forms. There were Native American and Africans here too, and they all blended together to become something quite unique. They say weird things like this, all the way from medieval...
My belly thinks my throat is cut. My belly thinks my throat is cut. So that nothing goes through it. Okay, yeah.
Island. And something all the way from Storyland is, well, this video, of course. So if you like what you see, please click these 3 buttons right here. Much obliged.
Don't so cast one. Uncle going very fast already, you know. Going faster than Scarlet government catch me, huh? Government very vigilant and always watching.
Welcome to a very...
That sounded a bit Asian even. Like watching... What?
Uncle going very fast already, you know. Going faster than Scarlet government catch me, huh? Gammon very vigilant and now always watching.
Welcome to a very multicultural part of the world. It's been this way for hundreds of years, and in our great-grandparents' time, people who lived here were still saying things like thee and thou art. It's a country with numerous languages, and in village life back in the day, this was a problem. See, people made a living buying and selling, and it's hard to buy and sell when you can't understand each other. The dialect I'm talking about is Singaporean English.
I think Singaporean accent is quite...
I was actually right with my Asian take. And, you know, when he said like, diverse, I thought immediately about Singapore. I was in Singapore, and there's like Indian culture, a lot of Chinese. They're actually like the main people there. Malaysian as well. And of course also like, you know, many English-speaking business people. So it's really like in this little space, so many different cultures. It's crazy. You can just go in another village and, you know, there literally just go like 1 kilometer, like half a mile other direction. And suddenly everything changes from like deep Chinese stuff, cuisine, everybody looks Chinese, to everybody looks Indian. It's absolutely incredible.
Like sharp, like like instead of like very like
It depends on like how they speak, because sometimes you can tell if it's natural or it's those exaggerated types. Let's say halfway like in their teenage years they decide like, okay lah, I want to speak with Ang Moh accent, and then
You'll probably understand the standard version, but the informal version, Singlish, has been a phenomenon since the 1970s. It has its own unique grammatical structure, and the idea is to use as few sounds as possible to get the message across. In other words, Singapore English is very, very efficient.
Yes, of course. That shouldn't be a problem in the slightest. In fact, I'll be more than happy to do it.
Becomes...
Can.
The intonation and sentence structure are influenced by various local dialects of Chinese. The thing is, for most of Singapore's colonial history, English was a minority language that only the elite used, but after independence in 1965, English became an essential bridge. Kids learned standard Singapore English at school, but it's completely normal to speak Singlish, and the average Singaporean sees it as a real part of their identity, so yes, it's very, very relevant.
Honestly, I didn't like look at that, or I didn't recognize it. Because probably at that point in my life, I was so bad with my English that I didn't even could see that they speak a little bit of a different form of English. But next time I am there, I should definitely think about that or try to recognize that.
Now you know what this one is. It is a land where English-speaking pirates once ran riot, and the main...
Is it... Wait, once ran riot. So, is it in Cuba, Jamaica, something like that?
Port became known as the wealthiest and wickedest city in the world.
Waking up, feel water and waking up. Right through the house, through the bathroom, through every door, kitchen door, every door.
The first people in Jamaica were the Arawaks, who arrived in canoes from South America about 2,500 years ago. Next came the Spanish and then the English, and both brought slaves that they'd captured in Africa. Also, 2,000 Irish girls and guys were kidnapped and sent to Jamaica, and more came escaping the wars in Ireland. These Irish workers taught English to the Africans, and a pidgin language was born. Meanwhile, a lot of Africans and Arawaks escaped and fled to the mountains, where their own language developed, Jamaican Patois. Now, Patois isn't actually considered a dialect of English. It has too many loan words, mostly African. But Jamaicans also speak standard English.
I'm not saying this and saying that because of money, you know. Yeah. It's just because the people need me and they appreciate coming around me, you know. Yeah. So I'm not doing it like Babylon people say, I want to make more money. I'm just expand because the people want the space, so I gotta make the space bigger. That people can come and enjoy themselves, okay?
Jamaican English is...
Actually, so far, I think I had more difficulties understanding like the American accents, like the ones that were not American and that we had so far. I think most of them were pretty okay. I think the first one was a bit difficult. Tell me in the comments what is your, like, what was the weirdest one for you?
There's quite a bit of American in it these days, but thank goodness, still tons of Patois expressions.
Yeah,
that sounds very like, I don't know, English, British, like, I don't know, something like Scottish again, or something like maybe Wales-ish, or Northern England?
It's not good, boy, no. Yeah, it's good seeing you, boy. Let's go for a beer some night.
Irish?
Yes, for sure. Look, something phone book now. Yes, take care, old man. Take care, my son.
If you guessed Irish, you're wrong. It was one of the first areas of the New World that
Damn. Damn, I wanted to be happy.
Europeans discovered. First came the Vikings in 1000 AD, then fishermen and explorers, and from 1630 on, settlers came with all these language and dialects. And of course, there were indigenous languages too. We're talking about a dialect called Newfoundland English.
We're on a bit of an hiatus from Todd. She's gone back to Alberta for a couple of weeks, and I'm at Abergris. My father.
Yeah, you can clearly hear like this Scandinavian touch to it.
We've just gone away up to Labrador. But now we're going to be back at it again soon, so make sure you get your Vex passports like and get out and see the shows, you know, have a laugh, buy a few tickets free.
Newfoundland is an
So
island
interesting.
of Canada, a cold place. Most of the brave early immigrants who stayed were from southwest England and southeast Ireland, and they lived here in isolation for a very long time. The British colony only became part of Canada in 1949, so you weren't imagining it, they really do speak differently from the rest of Canada. Today's Newfoundlanders, there we go, have English, Scottish and French in them, but they are mostly of Irish descent. They say the dialect sounds quite 18th century Munster Irish, and there are even a few traces
Munster?
of
Comes Munster from Münster, from Germany? That would be so cool.
Irish Gaelic left in the grammar. Pretty interesting, huh? And if you like language stories like this, especially if you're keen on learning a new language yourself, you might find my method of teaching and learning all around the world. Well, they're in the description of the learn language.
Listen to me. If a Guyanese man tell you about yourself, just know, relax, relax. Don't hype up. When a Guyanese man tell you about yourself, dog.
I don't understand any word except the word relax, but anything else, I have no clue.
Don't even look at the man too hard. Walk away, dog.
I can't wait to give you this clue. You ready? It's the only English-speaking country on an entire continent.
On an entire continent. So is it maybe then, you know, like Asia? There, Singapore we have already, right? No, New Zealand and Australia and Oceania, so no. Then in Africa, probably more, like we had already South Africa. So the only thing that is left is basically, and you know, Europe also makes no sense, is basically South America. But what is there in South America? No, not Panama. I don't know. Like Panama is North and South America, but I don't know. What is there?
What could it be?
Once me put no ring on your finger, me got no reason to be vexed. I could pull aside, we can have a conversation to be a trio of car. Ain't got no reason for you being out on a date with somebody or alongside with in a relationship.
It's known as the land of many waters, and it's a sovereign state on the north coast of South America. That's culturally part of the English Caribbean, and it shares the same...
Okay, so if the English Caribbean... Something like San Lucia?
...legacy with these countries.
Yes, Guyana to the world!
Yep, this is Guyana, and a multicultural country it is. Once upon a time in the 17th century, there were 3 Dutch colonies in Guyana, and each had its own Creole version of Dutch, mixed with a West African language called Kalabari. But many different colonial powers have fought over Guyana, so historically they've been exposed to various cultures and languages.
Let me take you back to the culture, flying high in the sky, let the whole world see, let the whole world see, let the whole world see. Green, red, yellow, black and white's a place to be.
In the 19th century, it was a British colony called British Guyana. More slaves came from West Africa and Barbados, and the inevitable pidgin language was formed. Mostly English words with sounds and features of African language. There was a little mix-in with the Dutch Creoles, but not much because those were already dying out by that point. Later on, a ton of indentured workers arrived from India, and this brought a complete...
That makes total sense, because there are still the, you know, islands that are own countries, Aruba, Curacao, and to some extent Sint Maarten, like exactly in front of Guyana, I think, like exactly above it, and they are still part of the Dutch kingdom.
Completely new language influence. Guyana has been independent now since 1966, but English is still the official language. Locals call their dialect Creolese or Guyanese, and it ranges from standard English to a much broader Creole. As for the indigenous tribes, they were never wiped out here, luckily, and if you wander into the interior, you might even hear these influences.
I just put down to Royal Edinburgh College to help get the job. There's too much discrimination in this town, man. Because they're both schools, right? And we're all in this together. And
That's something British again.
I wanted to put across the general idea rather than the details. Like, people get all hung up on details. Like, which school did I go to?
On details. Oh my god, now I got it. It's details.
What grades did I get? Could be like 6, could be none. It's not important. What is important is that I am, yes?
Here's a dialect with a famous history. The people who've lived here for centuries have ancestors who are Celts, Vikings, and Anglo-Saxons. So where are we now? We are in Glasgow, Scotland.
Can I just ask, first of all, what you were doing there?
Slash man. I've been trash, right? I wasn't even McDauel, right? I was a starter. I mean, only McDauel on Saturday, right? But what babies are shouting. The text and all it was not text. I was like, you know, what's up?
So you understood.
Yeah, look at the face of the woman. It's literally mine.
The text and all it was not text. I was like, you know, what's up?
So you understood every word of that, didn't you? Oh, you didn't? Well, Glasgow was a port where many desperate immigrants once arrived from Ireland, Eastern Europe, and Italy, and where a lot of Highlanders also happened to come for work, not your everyday combination. Funny story, the Italians were tricked. They thought they were on ships to America, which explains the many ice cream parlours that sprang up. But if the dialect baffles you, don't blame Italian. The Irish and Scots influences are very, very strong. Mind you, Glaswegians do speak incredibly fast and have a lot of Italian surnames.
Wait, Glasgower are called Glaswegians? Lol.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Bloody chilly, innit? Lots of snow everywhere.
Can you imagine speaking just like your ancestors did? Well, for hundreds of years, the inhabitants of this island...
Better don't do this in German. Better don't speak like our ancestors did. That would be weird. And, you know, would probably trigger a third world war.
Island have refused to let go of the old ways. They have a unique way of speaking that's been passed down from the earliest English settlers who came from Cornwall. I'm talking about the Tangier Island in Chesapeake Bay, an estuary off the eastern shore of Virginia. Yes, America.
America? What?
Coral and casting at me all day. She was behind the counter. She said, "It's a lie, Jack." I said, "Who's that, ma'am?"
The Tangier dialect has changed a lot over the decades. That's going to happen, but because of its isolation, there was no outside influence and it became a creation of its own. Way to go, Tangier.
Can I get a French fry hot? I like it for it to be in the oil. Okay, can I get the small Trinidadian meal?
What?
The Trinidadian meal. The baby meal.
Confused? Okay, this guy will tell you where he's from, so listen up.
It sounds American somehow.
Say they can speak like Brit English, and they say they can yell like Brit English. They say like Brit America is the same thing. So we'll try them out. Let's see if they can yell.
Did you get that? This country has more than 20 languages, but none as big as English. They have 4 kinds, in fact. English has been the official language since 1824, and about 3 million people speak it. There's also a Creole that people
it's not America if only 3 million people speak English.
A second language. I am talking about Liberia. Liberia's in West Africa, and it has the fastest growing population in the world.
It looks like a little bit like the American flag, we could say this. Just 49 stars to less.
Well,
so today, when you are dressed up fine like me, and you are zooting your gold watch and all the thing, people will look at you and say, "My man, you want to kill Blade?" Hey! That's why they say when Blade see Blade run, because Blade don't want to die. He don't want to see it.
I don't know what Blair means, but he uses it a lot.
Anybody dress better than him.
Before the 21st century, they simply called all the dialects English, but nowadays they call them colloqua. So why all the varieties? Well, in the 19th century, Liberia had a pidgin English called Cruz, that sailors and migrant workers.
Is it pigeon, like from the bird? Or why does he always say pigeon English? I thought first when he said it, that's just like, you know, this English is called pigeon English, but now it sounds like that this is like a slang for a different English or something. But is it pigeon, like literally like pigeon, like the bird?
Spoke. They pick it up at sea. But then 16,000 African American immigrants sailed to Liberia, and obviously they couldn't speak the local languages.
If you never ate pankana, you never ate tabagi flour saw, you're not going to understand nothing I'm saying right now.
So their descendants are the ones who speak Liberian settler English, which still has some archaic American expressions. Settler English.
So it wasn't that wrong with my American thought, okay.
then influenced Colloqua. You still with me here? Well, anyway, later there was a 14-year civil war in Liberia, and believe me, it was a strong motivator to find a common language. One cool thing Liberians do is they speak with suffixes to convey their emotion, good or bad.
They say "oh" after everything. They say "oh" after everything. Like, come let you, my man, where you going, oh? Where are you going, oh? My man, how you feeling, oh?
If you ask me, Liberians sound pretty cool. Truth time, how many did you guess right from the very first clip?
Boy, how many did I get right? I think I would say like half of them maybe? Tell me in the comments how many you got right. I would absolutely love to know that. And maybe tell me how many I got right. That would be also amazing. Because, you know, I can judge myself always, but, you know, maybe you judge if I did it right or wrong. For example, Liberia, probably not right because, you know, it's not very much America. It's pretty far away. But yeah, tell me that in the comments and tell me what we should do next. And yeah, until then, keep liking, subscribing, and we see each other in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much to Todd Phillips and all of the other patrons and channel members for your support. You're awesome.